Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first annual celebration of the Baldwinsville Community Hall of Fame for Visual and Performing Arts. I am, yes, long-time mother. For those that don't know me, I'm Carol Jacoby. I used to be a teacher here way back, and I'm the president of the organization. Tonight is the results of 3 long years of work that will celebrate 6 former students and educators who have contributed to our community's enjoyment of the arts and continue to share these artistic gifts around the world. We hope tonight will be the beginning of honoring not only artists, but also members who have worked behind the scenes, such as choreographers, costumers, set designers, to name a few. I would like to point out and thank the art teachers and music teachers here at Baker High School and the music and art students who are here to perform tonight. Please enjoy during our reception the artwork. There's some out in this hallway, and there'll be some also in the reception area where you will be entertained by a very lovely string group of students. I wouldn't be standing here without all these people, and I really want to acknowledge all the board members who have been working since 2019. Then we got shut down for COVID, but COVID didn't stop us. We Zoomed like the rest of the world, and when it was over, we started meeting again in person. Our vice president and designer of our beautiful logo, Todd Hoban. Our treasurer, Sally David. Our secretary, Nancy Rowe. And other board members, Sandy Baker, Judy Roy, Muffin Pergola. Muffin has done our website. We couldn't have done that without her because none of us know how to do that kind of stuff. Maybe Sandy does, but most of us, we don't. So we're lucky to have Muffin here. Bill Mercer Jr. Karen Maloney is not here tonight. She's off at a wedding in Mexico. So Karen has been very helpful. Mary Tall. And a very special thank you to Chris Denton, who is the principal here at Baker High School, who is also a former student of mine back in a long time ago. Chris has really helped us to negotiate this around the district, to have support of the Board of Education. He's responsible for these kiosks being put together for us, and so many more things. We couldn't have done this without you, Chris, so thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Paula Pickering, who has been doing all the sound and technical stuff here, because this is like, wow, it's so different from when I was here. It's like, I walked in here and I thought, wow, why couldn't have had that when I was here. So very nice, thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to invite to the podium our Vice President and keynote speaker, Todd Hoban.
Thank you very much, Carol. I used to be a rock star, and that's not why I'm here tonight. But I was a kid in a high school in nowhere, and I had dreams of getting out there and playing music around the world. I wanted to be like Elvis Presley or the Beatles, you know? And I remember going to a concert, the Beach Boys, right? And Sonny and Cher were their warm-up act, okay? And I just thought, wow, I really want to go and do that. Not knowing that someday, the Beach Boys, I would tour with them and I would play with them, and they would be some of my best friends. Kinks and the Allman Brothers and Hall & Oates and all these people that I've worked with in my career to fill a lifelong dream. And what I realized is, isn't that what we're doing here tonight? Students who have aspirations, desires to do something unbelievable, something crazy. I want to be a dancer. I want to dance with a Joffrey Ballet. I want to draw. I want to be an artist. I want to be a musician. I want to play this violin in a symphony orchestra. And what we're doing is showing them on a beautiful plaque in a wall that you can do it. Because people right here from Baldwinsville, New York, have done some amazing things and have gone to amazing heights in their chosen career. And it is the arts. It is the arts. We believe, all of us sitting on this stage, that a good rounded education, we've all heard about STEM, you know, science, technology, engineering, math are so important. We believe that it's STEAM and that arts should be a part of a great education. You know, Winston Churchill once famously said, during World War II, the Parliament wanted to cut funding to the arts. And he sent word, he said, if we cut arts, what are we fighting for? I never like to say something that's not really true. And unfortunately, that very famous quote, he never said it. But he did say something even more important that nobody talks about. What he said, and I quote him right here, the arts are essential to any complete national life. That was Winston Churchill. He believed so strongly that we, as a society, should not only pay for the arts, but we should pay attention to the arts. And anybody, and there's a lot of you in here who are teachers, know that your arts students, the ones who played in the orchestra and sing in the choir, the ones who dance, you know, and do lessons, they possess a quality that all of our awardees have. And what it is discipline, self-discipline. That's what they call what we do. They're disciplines. And the kids here that are studying and practicing go into a room all by themselves and they work their fingers to the bone and they spend hours just perfecting their art. They may not end up at the Met on Broadway, but they will be outstanding physicians, engineers, dentists, doctors. They are going to be our accountants. They're going to take care of the society. And what helped was the arts. I will say one last thing before we bring on some really talented students, and that is all of us up here remember when all of these people were young, almost all of them. Some of us remember Evelyn. We can't let arts just disappear. So by doing this, we're showing those who aspire some inspiration. And in every one of their cases, the people who we honor tonight not only aspired to greatness, but they also are teachers who inspire students to greatness. That should be honored. And tonight, that's exactly what we're doing. I want you to hear some wonderful people. Finn, if you could bring everybody up, bring up our honors chorus, and they're going to sing for you. And you're going to see, now remember this, one of these singers from Baldwinsville, New York, could end up at the Met or on Broadway. I know that one of my dearest friends and young student that I watched when she was about this age make it all the way to Broadway. Maybe one of these kids too. All set, Finn? Take it away.
Sky.
Thank you so much for such beautiful singing. It makes me miss being here. I was just very touched by that. It was beautiful. Thank you. So now to our nominees. Jay Ashby, can I have you come up, please? Hi, Jay. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So I'm just so delighted to be the one presenting you the award. When I came to Baker High School, 1982, I think it was, I sat down with several students over the summer because I wanted to figure out what Baker High School was all about before I stepped in. And I met with them and I said, tell me about your program. So they were all excited to tell me about all the things, but your name came up. And they told me about Harold Hill, the music man, Jay Ashby, and how excited they were about that program. And then I met Norm, and he told me all about you and the instrumental program, and I thought, wow, I'm here just a year too late. But 35 years went by, and our paths met about 8 years ago at the New York Voices Vocal Jazz Camp, where I was a student and Jay was my instructor. And did I hear somebody say, oh my God? Oh, I don't know about that one. But I learned in his classes his passion for music and his caring for the students he was teaching. And I hear about that all the time, that his time is for cultivating young musicians and always there when they need them. It was hard to get you here because of your devotion to your students, but we kind of did. So I had that same experience as a student of yours, and I appreciate that. So Jay has a passion for not only being an educator, but he's a wonderful arranger, composer, and a fantastic trombonist. And you are my favorite trombonist, by the way. But if you get a chance, get onto YouTube and hear this gentleman play. He's fantastic, and we're so proud that you are one of our first inductees here. So congratulations on behalf of all the board. Next on board, my program, I'd like to introduce Chip Miller, Robert Miller, a former art teacher here at Baker High School, who will introduce our next recipient.
Very bright up here. I won't make Frank come up till I'm done. I worked on this for days. I don't get out of the house much now I'm retired. So I don't really get a chance to talk. So I kept reading it, like, is that what I sound like? When I was first asked who I thought should be inducted into the Baldwinsville Hall of Fame for Visual and Performing Arts, the first name came to mind was Frank Camuso. There are many others that came to mind also, students, educators, administrators. Frank stood out, now successful author, cartoonist, professor. Graduated from Baker in 1983. He has said, I always wanted to be a cartoonist. While at Baker, he was an editor for the school paper in which he did a weekly cartoon. He attended Syracuse University, graduated in 1987. While there, he was editor for the Daily Orange paper and did a daily cartoon, which I don't know how you do that. 1989, he took me to the Rolling Stones Steel Wheel concert. I just thought I'd throw that in. We had a great time. They almost threw me out, but we talked them out of it. Went on to be a political cartoonist for the Post-Standard for 23 years. His cartoons have appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, USA Today, and Newsweek. Presently is the undergraduate program coordinator for illustration at Syracuse University School of Art. and a professor of practice. Frank has created several graphic novel series for children, including Nights at the Lunch Table, The Misadventures of Salem Hyde, and Edison Beaker, Creature Seeker. I just read the first one. I gotta get the next one because I noticed at the end it's like, oh, now I want to know what happens. And I always liked picture books as a kid. You know, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but you don't have to read them. Sorry. His graphic novel Max Ham, Fairy Tale Detective, that he wrote and illustrated, was described by one reviewer as one of the cleverest parodies of Private Eyes I've ever read. Frank has twice been nominated for the prestigious Eisner Awards. These awards are considered to be the comics industry equivalent to the Academy Awards. In 2018, he, along with his partners, launched Ahoy Comics, an American comic book publishing company. I'm trying to go fast, I'm sorry. Frank also does school visits where he speaks to students about his books and process of creating children's comics, totally devoted to education. He states, "My theme focuses on the importance of hard work and perseverance. I emphasize dedication and believing your work. True creativity comes from not being afraid to make mistakes." Frank Camuso is one of the most intelligent, kind, and entertaining people I know. I remember after he graduated, I later asked him when he would like to go on one of our annual New York City trips as a chaperone. He had gone as a student prior to that. That trip was amazing, but I still remember how he entertained the students on the long ride. That man knows every word to every theme song for any TV show, series, cartoon, you name it, he knows it. First verse, second verse, and verses you didn't even know existed. It is my honor to present Frank Camuso with this honor. Frank, if you could come up and have him be the first Visual Arts Hall of Fame inductee. You got taller? I got short. And I know he wants to say something because.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's the first time I've been picked first for anything. So, especially in this building. But thank you guys. Thank you all. It's a complete honor. Thank you, Chip. You know, I mean, thank you, Chip, for providing a safe space for creative kids. I used to live in the art department, which was like right across the hall over there. And it was great. By the time I got to my junior year, I'd figured out a way to have 3 periods of art. And I think I actually came down during one of my study halls for art too. And I lived down there, and it was great because I was among my people and they understood me, and it was just a great space to be myself. So thank you for all that. And that's all I can say. Thank you guys. Thank you.
I'm so thrilled to be here tonight to honor James Kryshak. But I have to tell you, it's difficult for me calling James because I lived 2 houses away from him for quite a few years. And so he's always been Jimmy to me. I'd like to tell you a little short story about Jimmy and how I discovered him. I used to do a lot of substitute teaching, and I substituted in kindergarten, and Jimmy was in the kindergarten class. Every morning, the children would come together and we'd share things, and One of our big activities was to read and sing the songs that were on a big chart. It was a pre-reading activity. The children loved to sing. During free playtime, Jimmy asked, and I gave permission for him to use the song charts. Then from across the room, I heard this beautiful, clear soprano voice. It was Jimmy loving to sing, and it was me loving to listen to him. So, Jimmy has since perfected his talent, and he has sung with prestigious opera companies across Europe and here in the United States. And so, he's in Europe tonight, couldn't be here, but we wish him well. And so, I'm so happy to be honoring James Krysiak tonight.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can? Thank you so much. Wish I could be there with all of you, but my family is there somewhere. My mom, my wonderful mother, my sister Lee, and my nieces Hannah and Alexis, and just thank you so much for this incredible honor. I wouldn't be here without all of you sat there in front of this screen here, especially Carol Jacoby and Nancy Rowe for all that you've done and the friendship that you've kept with me for all of these years since I left Baker High School. And just thinking about all of the connections that I have with each one of the inductees here tonight, it's really quite powerful, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and so thankful to be a graduate of Baker High School and part of the community of Baldwinsville, because it's a very special place. So thank you all, and I'm with you in spirit and virtually.
Would Pat Krysiak like to come up and accept the award for James? We have the whole family. Thank you, everybody. These are his two nieces.
So I kind of blew it. Could I invite Jay back up, please? I forgot to give him an opportunity to speak, and I know he had something to say. So, Jay, come on down. That was the first one up here. Okay, so.
Here, I thought I got off the hook. Thank you, Carol. And thank you to the committee for even considering me for this unexpected honor. You know, although I've lived most of my life in other places, I'm always very proud to say that Beeville is my hometown. And you know, in the 42 years that have gone by since I left, I've been super fortunate to be able to travel around the world and make music with people all over the world. And through all those experiences, time and time again, I find myself realizing how thankful I am for the foundation that I received growing up in Beeville and in Baldwinsville Public Schools. Very special, and it's a reflection of great teachers. And we're talking about from the elementary level through senior high, talking about, I'm testing my memory, Mr. Allen and Miss Loftus, and in middle school, very special teacher, Bill Cantwell. And of course, in high school, here, Joan Basil, and the amazing musicals that she directed, that I was lucky enough to be part of. And of course, the inimitable Norm Wanzer. And in fact, the last time, indeed, the only time I was in this room since 1981 was 22 years ago to help Wanz celebrate his retirement, along with my brothers and about 100 other former students of Wanz's. And you know, it was an incredible weekend. And just to have all those students come back is a testament to how impactful a great teacher like Wanz can be. And furthermore, you know, the stellar achievements of my fellow inductees here speak to the fact that the incredibly strong arts education program here at Baker continued after I left. In fact, as Carol mentioned, right after I left, Carol got here and started working her magic with her vocal jazz ensemble. And although I didn't get to work with her, my parents still lived here in those days, and I would get regular updates on what was going on, and I can still hear my mom's voice saying, "Oh well, you know, Silk and Satin won this award, and Silk and Satin went and performed here." And that was Carol's vocal jazz ensemble that she started here. And those updates were incredibly important to me because it was reassuring that there was still incredible things happening here. And I know that's true, they're still happening. And I look at this facility, and I can tell you it didn't look like this in 1981. And you know, in a general sense, it's wonderful to know that Baldwinsville continues to be a great place to grow up. Thank you again.
Some of you might be wondering what an old science teacher and track coach is doing up here with all these talented musicians and artists. And I didn't have an ounce of musical talent or artistic talent, but I'm starstruck by the members of the committee and by the nominees tonight, and it's just a grand thing. I was fortunate to be on the Board of Education when this auditorium was constructed, and we're all so proud. And we're more proud of our inductees tonight in this inaugural class. There are people being inaugurated tonight who are teachers of mine, colleagues of mine, students of mine, and a track star, and that was Gina. And this is how I know her. I don't know her as a great performer, which she was. If you look at and read her resume on here, her experiences on Broadway and television and so on, that was her calling, not track and field, but she was a good hurdler. And I was really proud of her because hurdlers have to be tough. They're the ones that hit the track surface the most and the ones who suffer the most bruises and bangs out there. And she did a great job in sports, but if you look at her credentials, she was terrific in the field that she chose. And I'm sure she will continue on with many great successes, not just as a performer and director, but as a mom too, and someone that we are all extremely proud of. So Carol can tell you a lot more than I can about Gina and her experiences as an actress and a singer, performer here at Beeville. But I'm really proud to be presenting this award. And Carol, did you want to say anything more? She says, I got it. All right. Well, anyway, Gina, please come up and we'll present you with your award. want to say some words here?
Well, I'm an actress, so.
Oh, here we go.
Of course I do. Mom, can you hear me? Thank you so much. I just had this crazy flashback to running at a meet in Vestal when I wiped out. I hit a hurdle and I went just face first, cinder track, and the whole audience, you hear, yeah, oh. And that was me, but I was fine. And I was in the best shape of my life, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for this honor. It really does mean a lot to me. I am so lucky to have been raised in a home and in a school district that encouraged the arts, not only as a possible career path, but just as part of a rich and full human life. And so thank you, Mom, and thank you also, Carol Jacoby, for so many years of encouragement and tough talk when needed. I remember those too. I really do feel very lucky today. Thank you. Thanks.
Good evening. It gives me a great pleasure to be able to talk about this lady that I worked with, I knew for many, many years. She served on the Board of Education in Baldwinsville. She was an organist in the community for churches. She worked her own individual people that she taught piano to, and yet she did a lot of volunteering in the community. And one of the greatest things that I remember doing with Evelyn Mercer was when we brought Arthur Fiedler to this place in a fire truck, because he is very much, or was very much, a fireman. So we had to arrange, or we did arrange, for him to come into Baldwinsville on a fire truck, of which he performed, not on this stage. It was the old auditorium that we had here for many years, but it was great. One of the interesting things about Mr. Fiedler was when we had our little party afterwards, one of his favorite drinks was a special kind of tequila. I remember traveling all over Syracuse trying to find it for him. But it was interesting and it was wonderful to have him here. Evelyn just bubbled over with helping and with joy and expressed a great deal of interest for this community. One of the great things that she did do was serve on the Board of Education, I believe, if I'm correct, 16 years, right? No? 16 years that she served this school district, which I think was a tremendous honor. And I believe, without any further ado, I would like to ask her husband, William Bill Mercer Sr., if he would come up to accept the award. So great.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Well, thanks.
Okay.
Yes. Can I say a couple of words to the groups out here? First of all, of course, I'd like to say thank you to the group that appointed her to this great honor. Our family, I'm sure, is very grateful for that. And I'm sure Evelyn would find it fantastic if she was here. She would love it, every bit of it. Evelyn
Well, there's a saying that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, Evelyn loved music. And in addition to that, she loved working with people in music. I mean, all the way from the kids in the living room on the piano up to accompanying members of the Syracuse Symphony in their solo recitals when they had to. You know, she just loved working with people. We have people right here in this group who've worked with her, I know. Many of you. She worked with the Theater Guild, as you know, rehearsing. And she most of all, I think, loved working with church choirs and playing organ. She did many of, maybe even in this room, weddings, funerals for their families, as well as conducting combined choruses here in Baldwinsville of the church choirs. And, you know, it was just so much fun for her all the time, and she loved every minute of it. So thank you for this, and she, I'm sure, is just thrilled to receive it. Thank you.
Act 2. I'm also Bill Mercer, and I'm here to talk about a mentor. The final honoree this evening is likely the smartest guy in the room. There's a right way to do something, and he already told you what it is. His students learned that it's best to listen the first time. Norm Wanzer, who shall hereafter be referred to as Wanz, is a flute player from Deposit, New York, who wanted to go to the Eastman School of Music. He was both smart enough to realize that that was impossible and driven enough to learn to play the bassoon well enough to get into Eastman School of Music. You can read about everything else he plays in your program. Wanz's biggest gift to Baldwinsville music has been his guiding principle of, do you want to try? What we all think of as marching band didn't exist here. He talked the kids and the administration into trying a field band rather than just a parade band. That worked out pretty well. He asked one kid if they wanted to try playing euphonium. 3 months later, that kid was playing the solos in the whole suite in F. Do you want to try? The next year, he and Mrs. Wiley were going to produce the first musical at Ray. You want to try doing a musical? Sure. And since there were no basses at Ray, he asked some other kid, do you want to learn to play bass? Same strings as a violin, but in the other direction. The show's in a month, here's the book. Based solely on that inexplicably thorough instruction, that student went on to be the bassist for the Ithaca College Wind Ensemble, the Merry-Go-Round Theater, and the Red House Arts Center. He didn't believe that his teaching should end at the school door. Wanz once asked a student too young to get their learner's permit if they wanted to try driving a bulldozer. After they graded a field, Wanz taught them to shoot a shotgun and shoot a round of skeet. 1 year, none of your administrators are alive anymore, are they? Okay. 1 year, Wanz needed an E-flat trumpet for the Baker Brass Band. Schools don't own that esoteric instrument, so he made one. Wanz always took his groups to NISMA major organization evaluation. There was a year when the Ray Band was pretty good, and he said we were going at level 6. I don't think we understood at the time that level 6 was the highest level performed by the best high school bands. We just figured we did okay because we got an A+. In his spare time, he trained and researched certification as a tool and die machinist. He holds a CDLA tractor-trailer license and drove the students' buses to all county music festivals, too. If you park next to the cab-over tractor in the lot, don't ding the paint, okay? If you don't improve your capability, you'll hear about it. Frustrated during a rehearsal, Wanz threw up his hands. He was holding a trumpet. It hit the ceiling. Then it hit the floor. And he fixed it. Wands has a unique presence. With his boots, dicky pants, and a wad of keys, he was mistaken for a custodian 1,647 times. He spent years wearing 2 or 3 pairs of glasses at the same time, and he will be happy to explain the refractory principles involved. Maybe the simplest indication of Wands' influence on his students is that a violinist who has taught orchestra at West Genesee for 36 years nominated him and is here inducting him. I don't teach band, but all those stories were my experiences. And I make absolutely sure that my own students see a little bit of Norm Wanzer every day. Please join me in honoring Norm Wanzer.
This all started a long time ago when Jay, Bill, and I still had hair. I think it boils down to when I got here, I said, gee, other schools are doing a musical. Said, maybe we should. And from the usual people, why? Well, why not? Marching band, why not? Of course, there was no money, but I'm used to that. We started a music history class and an orchestration class in Theory 1 and Theory 2. The only way I could schedule the orchestration and music history was to have the students that wanted it scheduled for a study hall in the band room during my free period, and I taught the class. But again, the why became why not? There seemed to be an attitude that, well, if you're a music student, you'll get the music when you get to college. But I'm pretty sure they wouldn't say that to somebody who wanted to be a math major. What I tried to do was give the students the tools that they needed to be successful. My infamous rhythm sheet, I think, is all the way across the country now, because people would email me and say, hey, can I get a copy of that? Because at the bottom it said, if you can say it, you can play it. So they had to count and clap with a metronome, 16 basic rhythms. And it pays off, because for graduation each year, the high school band always played for graduation. And of course, when I was at the junior high, they decided that the seniors didn't have to play. They were going to be graduating. So they filled in with the junior high kids. The music was picked by the seniors, and most of it was level 6. The junior high had 2.5 weeks to learn it, and they did it. So, you know, the idea is build the basics, and then you can build anything you want. Yeah, I had to fix a lot of instruments, but there wasn't a bus that didn't make it home, including some of the professional buses. We were leaving one time from a marching band trip up, I believe it was northeastern Massachusetts. And as I'm pulling out with the equipment bus and a trailer, the kids come running up, the bus won't start, the bus won't start. Oh, nice big MCI that was beautiful, but it wouldn't run. So I got it so at least he could get it to the repair shop. And I imagine 45 kids sitting in that repair shop waiting for the bus to get fixed probably made the bus get fixed a lot quicker. So, back when like I said, we had orchestration, music history, college textbook, and I found out that somehow the honors English kids couldn't read a college textbook, because I'd say, read that first paragraph. Okay, now what'd he say? I got no clue. Well, Donald J. Grout wasn't the easiest author to try and read, but he wrote the history books for most of the music schools. They usually aced the class when they got to college. And one of the folks that was a real good trumpet player was taking a conducting class for wind instrument music up at Syracuse University, and the university professor would do what is called a needle drop test, where you take a record and you drop the needle on it and try and identify what that music is. Well, one of the things was the Tillman Sasato Old Dutch Dances. Former student raises his hand, tells him what it was. He says, how do you know that? He said, well, we studied that in music history class. Oh, what college? No, high school. Then dropped it on some rather difficult band music. And same kid raises his hand, correctly identifies it. Oh, university? No, high school. Pretty soon the other kids are going, kids, they're in college, graduate school. But, and I said, where'd you go to high school? He says, Baldwinsville. Really? Yeah, why not? The only thing is that there was this rather noisy little, probably 2-month-old, I think, about in that age, at my last concert that was determined to sing along. It was Jay Ashby's son, I think. That kid is now in grad school. My youngest students are in their mid-30s, and my oldest ones, well, they're showing me pictures of their great-grandchildren. They had to make me feel old.
A country's character is defined, sorry. Okay. A country's character is defined by its arts. It's the arts that prevail long into the future. With each new generation, the arts evolve and are redefined anew. All areas of the country, cities, villages, rural areas, give their best. And from their best is given the art of the country. And so today, we have honored 6 best from our area. We couldn't be prouder of Jay, Frank, James, Gina, Evelyn, and Norman. A ceremony of this nature is never the work of one person. I'm so grateful for the committee and the ideas of helping hands that have been there to enable the Hall of Fame for the Visual and Performing Arts to begin and become part of the Baldwinsville School District. I would like to thank the administrators of Baldwinsville School Systems for Baker High School auditorium, the audiovisual staff, the cafeteria staff for the refreshments, and certainly the janitorial staff for their wonderful help. And as we come to the conclusion of our first Hall of Fame of the Visual and Performing Arts, let it not be the last. Let us think of this as only a pause until next year. When we find additional artists like drops in the great blue motion of the artistic sea, and pull them out to be honored as part of the class of our second class, I should say, of the Baldwinsville Hall of Fame for the Visual and Performing Arts. I would like to thank you very much for coming. Hope you enjoyed your evening, and I invite you to the reception out at the back of the auditorium. There is also the box where you can put the little pieces of paper for the drawing for the 2 tickets that will be available after the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone, and on behalf of our committee, congratulations to all the nominees. I'm so excited that this is happening. I hope all of you realize this is a first of a beginning. And I know Chris has some dreams of bringing this Hall of Fame to other aspects of the high school, not just music and art. So please keep an eye out and support Baker High School, the Baldwinsville School District. Thank you very much, and join us in the back for a reception. That would be great. Can we have all the inductees come up? And we have some photographers here. Are they around yet?